Hey, what's up? This is Comic 95, the Savior, and yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a Rant's Japanese journal, and I'm going to continue to piggyback off of the topic of Kevin Samuels. Sorry, but we're going to be talking about him for a while on my channel, because there's a lot of interesting things that he brings up that I think, oh, this is a great idea for content for my channel. So I'm going to keep it on the topic of Japan, but while also piggybacking off of what he's saying, because it can be applied to my personal life, both as an American and as a Japan resident. So yeah. Also, please forgive me and my pineapple head. I have my hair pulled back into a bun. I have my tea here because my voice is already getting a little bit hoarse. And excuse me, I'm like using my laptop to record this. I'm not wearing any makeup right now. I know I look crazy, which is fine. But yeah, let me get something to drink. I saw something very interesting today, two different things. So Kevin Samuels actually posted a statistic, a survey, showing what the marital rates are and about, women being single, and specifically in the Black community. I think it was like 62% of Black women are single, and there's a very high percentage of Black men as well, while there's significantly a much lower percentage when it comes to our white and Asian counterparts. The other thing that I saw that was interesting too, well, not interesting, but ignorant, somebody had left a comment on my channel, clearly somebody that sucks Kevin Samuels' balls, and he commented on my video, which I actually left your comment there, but because YouTube deleted my reply, I was like, I'm not going to leave your comment there if I can't reply back to it. So I hate you from my channel, but you can feel free to dislike it and stalk me from afar, or make a new account if you love me that much. But I figured, why waste my time arguing back and forth with some random... Sorry, that was my bottle. Sorry, headphone users, RIP. But yeah, like, why waste my time arguing back and forth with some random white guy when instead I can make a video addressing it? So... one of Kevin Samuels' favorite things to do is deflection. He constantly talks about women doing that and about how if a woman is losing an argument, they try to bring up your past, etc. But it's like, you do the exact same thing. Anytime that a woman tries to make a good point, it talks about how much better she's doing or what she's learning and her education or her money or anything else, or about her being feminine, whatever type of crap she has to do to prove her point, to show that she's willing to be a submissive slave for you as a man. You bring up the fact, oh, well, were you raised as, a submissive woman? Were you raised this type of way, whatever? That's the same difference. But you just don't like it when the shoe is on the other foot, when somebody's using it against you, Mr. Samuels. But whatever. So, what I wanted to talk about was, I'm already forgetting what I was trying to say, talking about the post. Oh, he always brings up the fact, whenever women are making a good point, that men built the world that we live in. That they're the reason why things are easy for us today. They built, they made buildings, roads, tables, that and the other. And it's like, I said this inside their comment to that guy. Let me see if I can actually pull it up to read to you guys. So I don't know if it's going to let me do this on my computer. Can I have more than one file open? Let's see. Maybe I should also turn off my AC, because that's going to get rather noisy. Let's turn it down some. Okay, let me try to find the screenshot. I don't know if it's going to let me look at it at the same time as I'm talking to you guys. So, let's see. Okay, it apparently is letting me. So this is what the guy said. Oh, I can even zoom in. That's great. So this YouTube user, whose username I will not give, you can make a new account. It's a troll account. He didn't have a profile picture. Even his name was basically saying that he's a troll. He says, correction, referring to my title. You spelled men build everything wrong, because my title was men ruin everything. The buildings, the road, the car you drive, the table, as well as the chair you are using, brick by brick, food for thought. So my second comment got cut off because I didn't take a screenshot of the full thing, but I did take a screenshot of part of it. But my first comment, I took a full screenshot, and this is what I said. I don't drive, didn't use a table or a chair for this video. Let me expand it so I can see. Also, yawn, a woman can make that stuff too. Wasn't common for women to work or to try to invent things at the time that these things were made, the things he's referring to. Anyway, that has absolutely nothing to do with the video's topic. What you just created is called a fallacious argument. Stop sucking on Mr. Samuel's balls. He's single for a reason. His advice is for tall, wealthy men who miss the good old days of abusing and cheating on their dependent women. My dad created me too. And you came out of some woman's pussy. Doesn't change the fact that most men act like dogs when it comes to being around women and can't control themselves or think seriously. There is a reason why dating apps have mostly male users and men are the only ones required to pay 90% of the time. I made a real point, backed up with evidence in my video. You ignored that because I'm right and decided to talk about male inventors just like your cult leader. Thanks for the engagement algorithm boost, hon. Then I also said, I guess I should also add that it is thanks to a woman birthing those men that they were able to make all of that stuff. Food for thought. Men can impregnate women, but we as women decide who is brought into this world. Women lacked rights, education, and the want or will to do hard labor, engineering, and inventing. So it's a stupid and unfair comparison, and again has nothing to do with why dating sucks these days. In conclusion, your argument is trash, and the rest of it got cut off. I can't see it anymore because I didn't take a screenshot of it, but anyway, I'm done with reading that comment. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting because I didn't even think about that. I literally came up with that on the spot. But I'm thinking to myself, like, anytime that you try to talk about things that guys do wrong, especially with like the Kevin Samuels cult followers type thing, they keep trying to change the subject, talk about what men have done, what they've done. Who cares? Okay, women gave birth to men. You need a guy to get you pregnant. Okay, but it doesn't matter if a guy gets you pregnant. You as the woman can terminate that. You decide whether that child lives or not. That's up to you. You are the creator of life. Doesn't matter that you need a guy. You both need each other to a certain degree. To a certain degree, that's true. But we have the last say as to who actually lives or dies. Food for thought. Secondly, quit with the stupid, unfair comparisons. Women didn't have rights back in the day, nor did we even, for most women, want to have to work. And most companies wouldn't even want to hire a woman. Even nowadays, there's still sexism in that sense. Most women don't want to do hard labor construction work. Can you do it? Sure. But what woman says, I want to be a construction worker? Exactly. It's not a matter of us not being able to, not having the brains, willpower, whatever. We didn't have the freedom to do those things back then. You wouldn't go up to a black person, a black, slave or something back in the day that was newly freed and say, who made this country? White men. Yeah, it was thanks to white guys telling you niggers where to put this brick and how to pick this cotton that we have this great country that we have today, whatever. We're the smart people around here. If you mean lazy freeloaders, evil, then yeah, sure, I guess you do have a point going on. But how is that a fair comparison to base the fact that you're successful because you're intelligent and you're so smart and you're so whatever? Well, of course, I'm sure I'd be rich too if I was able to beat, whip, and do R-word things to white people and have them enslaved and do all of my hard work for me too. That's not a fair comparison. There's some stupid people that really believe that. There's a lot of people nowadays that don't understand, the long-term effects that all of that stuff has had in the black community. People think that a lot of people, especially people that don't live in the U.S., they think that after slavery, everything just went completely back to normal and everything's peachy perfect fine. They don't talk about the Jim Crow laws. They don't talk about redlining, all that type of crap that went on with us. There's a lot more to it. And forget about legal stuff, because really slavery was abolished and, long ago. But y'all think people just instantly follow that rule? That's not the way that it worked. It doesn't matter if the law says something is legal or illegal if people choose to ignore it. Japan is a prime example. Racism isn't truly legal here, but there's gray area. Same thing goes in the U.S. Sure, it's illegal to discriminate against people based off of their race. So what do they do nowadays? They can't say we don't rent to black people, we don't rent to Hispanic people, whatever. So what do? Credit score checks, because we know minorities are notorious for having low credit scores. They go based off of your job, they go based off of your credit, or they just conveniently choose the other applicant over you that just so happen to have been white or Asian. That's the way that it goes. So, and then even that too, I thought that was really interesting, and white people are so stupid. Sorry for my white subs here. I know it's not all of you guys. I literally had a white guy that was trying to make an argument and was trying to insult me by talking about how Asians are model minorities, and I'm thinking like, this is why y'all need to go to college. That is not a compliment, being called a model minority. That is literally a brainwashed Stockholm Syndrome pet name tag for Asians that are trying to blend in with white people. In other words, for those of you who don't understand, the term model minority is basically saying that you are someone that has gone through so much and tried so hard to assimilate to be white that you are not seen as a problem. You're the perfect, ideal, picture perfect minority, basically. Not in a good way, but more like in a sense of you don't know yourself. You've given up your culture. Your goal is to blend in, do everything perfectly, be smart, go to school, get a good job, everything, keep your mouth shut, don't complain, take whatever is given to you like a dog. Assimilation is fine, but there's a big difference between assimilation and basically being a dog. And that is exactly what this basically means. I'm not going to go into detail about that for this video, but in a nutshell, look up what that term means. It's not a term of endearment. It's not a compliment. That is a U.S. equivalent of being called like a coon or Uncle Tom. If you are stupid as a black person, you would be like, why are they calling me Uncle Tom? That means I'm good with my taxes. Or I'm a good U.S. citizen. Who's going to tell them? So, whatever. But that is not the purpose in this video. So let me stay on topic. What I wanted to talk about was, that whole argument is stupid. Women didn't have the means. They didn't have the education. They didn't have the ability to get a job, even if they did have the education, because who was going to hire them? Okay. We didn't have the means to do engineering work. You cannot compare apples and oranges. We weren't playing the same game. We were busy raising you and cooking and cleaning for you while you were out there inventing and making those things. If we were put... Sorry, my phone just went off. If we were put in a situation where we did not have to do those things, and we had the ability to run around and play around with hammers and wood and nail things together, then I'm pretty sure there'd be a lot more female inventors. But it wasn't something that interested us. It wasn't something that we had the ability to do. It wasn't something we had the education, the knowledge to do. But nowadays we do, and that's another big reason why this whole marital thing and stuff has changed nowadays. In the past 30, 40 years, so much has changed. Excuse me. So... yeah, that's a really stupid comparison. Apples and oranges. You cannot compare something from so long ago to something now. Because women did not have those rights back then. We didn't have the education that we now do have. And that's a big part of why he has so many complaints stuff about that. Because like the biggest thing that he constantly tries to say like over and over again, he constantly talks about, what women's role should be, what they should be doing, X, Y, and Z. And his whole idea of his channel is he wants things to go back to how they used to be, the good old fashioned days and ways. But the thing is, he equates all marriages to being good. And what he sees as a good marriage is literally, he's promoting. You might call this helping the community, but it's not. He's promoting staying in abusive, crappy relationships. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but I gotta be honest. People can say whatever they want to, and I know that we normally are the, butt and the face of toxic relationships, us as black women. But I'm sorry, we have a lot more backbone. Sorry for my white and Asian subscribers, but I gotta keep it real, than the white and Asian women do. And Hispanic. We don't play that crap. You treat us bad, we get up and leave. Shoot, I left my relationship. I did the same thing myself. My ex has been asking for me back, and I decided not to. Do I want to get married? Yeah, of course I do, but I realize there's more to life than getting married. There's more to life than having a baby. Do I want those things? Yes, and that is my goal, if you will. But I can also draw the line and stop myself. I can be like, okay, yes, it is what I ultimately want out of life. But at the same time, I also want to be treated well. It does no good to have a ring on your finger and money in your pocket if your man is running around treating you like crap, abusing you, you're arguing and fighting, you don't get love, your sex life is trash. What is the purpose in being married then at this point? I can just go to a sperm donor, sperm bank, whatever. Problem solved. Same thing goes for kids. You can adopt a child if you want a kid so bad. You can get knocked up, have a one-night stand. But there's a certain order that I want to do things. I want to do things the right way for my own children too, because I don't want to be selfish as a mother, as a parent. But the problem that I have with this content is like those women that you're talking about using as a statistic, try to compare and make black women feel jealous or feel like we're missing out or doing something wrong. This is how I'm going to relate it back to my channel about Japan. What is one of the main things that you see going on here with marriages in Japan? Unhappy Asian women. They are so quick to try to quickly get married. They want to get married by my age. I'm 25 right now. This is the age you need to be married by. But nowadays, people are getting married later. But don't get me wrong, people do still start to feel like, I should start dating seriously once they get to be about my age. Nobody really expects you to get married before then, really. Because like that whole Christmas cake thing pretty much went away. Only foreigners really talk about that. You don't hear... That's my roommate or housemate. You don't hear, Japanese people freaking out about turning 25, 24 anymore. Of course, people, if they could have it their way, they would like to get married younger, but there's no pressure like how there used to be anymore. That's pretty much faded in Japan. Now, in China, I think that still does exist. That's still a thing. But in Japan, it's become a lot more relaxed lately. Don't get me wrong. Most people still will prefer it, but it's not like how it used to be back in the day. But that's what I wanted to get on. So it's like, okay, yeah, they do that. And then are they happy? No, they are not. They're busy trying to make the whole world think their life is perfect and things are okay by saying, oh, well, look at my ring. Look, I have a husband. Look, I have children. They keep their mouth shut while their man is out there cheating on them, exposing them to STDs, having babies on them, everything else irresponsibly. Yeah, that's really something to admire, to look up to want to be like. We as black women don't normally do that. You treat us like crap. You're cheating on us. You're abusing us. Don't get me wrong. Some of us are stuck in bad relationships like that too. But we leave. We do file for divorce. There is nothing wrong with that. His channel doesn't take into account the reason why women get a divorce. Instead, he makes them like, women are the ones destroying happy homes, happy whatever. What's happy about that? The fact that you got to run around and cheat while you expect her to stay at home, cook, clean for you, and to not cheat on you in return? What? And then most of the bums listen to his content are just average to below average looking and making and height men. Men that aren't even 5'9". Men that don't even make $40,000 a year. Men with no degree, no education, nothing to bring to the table, listen to his content and preaching on it like they really know or do something. The dumb thing about it is he constantly talks about men controlling access to marriage and relationships, but takes two to tango. You can't marry anybody if the girl don't want you back. You can't have all that sexist, chauvinistic, whatever type crap, misogynistic stuff that he be talking about. You can't do any of that unless you have a woman that's willing to play along that same game. And guess what? Most women will not play that game unless you have height and money and preferably looks. But you at least gotta have money. Content don't talk about that so much, does it? So I'm thinking to myself like, yeah, they're getting married more often. But are their marriages happy? No, they are not. They're just like how they were in the good old days that you keep referring back to, Mr. Samuels, which is where women are dealing with being abused, neglected, cheated on. If that's what I'm missing out on, then I'm totally fine with that. I don't want to be getting embarrassed and clown behind my back or in front of my face. That's nothing to look up to. I don't want to be like her. Good for her. Okay, bye. You can go ahead and show off to the world. Look, I have a husband. Look, I'm married. Look, I get to spend his money buying bags. Okay, you're buying handbags with his money. He busy paying some hoe at some, escort house or strip club $300 to $500 for a 40-minute session. That's embarrassing. You can have that man, have that marriage. I don't want that. Good for you. The problem is nowadays, women have the ability to complain and get help when their men are treating them like trash. We can get divorced more easily and people feel sympathetic towards us and understand us, and we're not blamed like how he wants us to be. We're not blamed for men being abusive, bad, manipulative, liars, and cheaters, and physically, domestically abusing us, mentally abusing us, etc. We can now speak up about these things. And now we have the ability in education to get jobs and work for ourselves. And that's the thing. He's not alone, but I'm talking about him. He constantly talks about how women have nothing to bring to the table other than their cat. And it's like, okay, men have nothing to bring to the table other than money. And at least pussy is something that you cannot make yourself, sir. You can buy a plastic one, but trust me, the feel is not the same. Ask my ex. Okay? But money is the same no matter whose money it is. I can spend your money, your side piece, or mine. It's all the same thing. Gives me the same crap. I can make my own. Then what do you have to bring to the table? Right, absolutely nothing. And that scares sexist men. Because when you take away the ability for them to say, oh, I have authority over you because I'm the breadwinner. When you take that away from them, they get scared. They run and hide with their tail between their legs. They don't know what to do anymore. Then you become masculine as a woman because you're not willing to put up with abuse. Because now it's like, sweetheart, I got my own money. I probably make more than you do. I don't need your help. Either you can treat me right and stay here, or you're going to treat me like trash. Bye. I can pay my own bills. I don't need you. Guys don't like that. They want you to be stupid, dependent, and at their mercy so that they can cheat on you and abuse you. And when you don't allow them to do that, when you get too smart, when you make too much money, then you become masculine. It intimidates men. It has nothing to do with being old-fashioned, traditional, cooking, cleaning, etc. Because he speaks out of both sides of his mouth. He talks about how nowadays, if you could do this, women, well, that's basic stuff. Men can do that too. That makes sense, Mr. Samuels. You speak out of both sides of your mouth. You say that that's a woman's job, but then you also say that that's not good enough for you because men can do that too. Okay, and women can make money too, but you don't like that part though. That part makes you upset. Then you say, no, that's the man's job. I don't care about your money, blah, blah, blah. But then, like how I said before in the past, when women don't have money, don't have an education, then he uses that against them too. If I'm going to be playing stay-at-home, housewife, house mom, whatever, being a Sam, what's the purpose of me going to school and getting an education then if I'm never going to use it? They literally want their women to look good and be stupid. That's what the goal is. Look pretty, look stupid. Look pretty, be stupid. Ain't no smart chick finna let you beat on her and cheat on her. This is not the 50s and 60s like your mama and your grandma that they went through. That is not admirable, talking about how Big Mama put up with your grandfather cheating on her and having a family on the side. That was abuse. That's sad. That's depressing. She was trying to uphold the image of her family and life being perfect to keep everything together. I talked about this in another video. I don't want to be like that. I feel sorry for her that she felt the need to do that. That is not something to look up to. In Asia, is the exact same way. You see it all the time here in Japan. A bunch of sexless marriages with men running around cheating on their wife because she's not giving him sex. And she's cheating on her husband or feeling miserable and trapped in her marriage because she wants everything to look good. Nobody wants to get a divorce here. You think divorce is bad in the U.S. Oh, they really don't like divorce here in Japan. Nobody wants the stigma of being a divorcee because unlike in the U.S., even as a man, getting a divorce is bad. A divorced man in Japan is treated like a black woman that has 5 kids and no marriage in the U.S. That's what they treat it like here. So just a little FYI for you. People do the same crap, stay together, miserable. There is nothing normal and okay about getting cheated on, about being used, about being abused. People put up with it though because they want to look good to the outside world. They want to appear to have everything together, appear to have a happy, normal life, happy home, etc. But I'm sorry, I have no interest in that. Either we can truly be happy and stay together, or I'd rather move on and find someone that I can be happy with. Or just be alone, because it literally doesn't make any sense then in that sense. But those statistics are completely BS, like talking about the number of women that filed for divorce, etc. You're not taking into account why they filed for divorce, what that man did to her. You're dismissing all of that stuff and just like, well, you're the one who filed first. Yeah, because who normally gets abused, beat, manipulated, cheated on in the relationship? Women, exactly. That's the reason why we file for it. Not because we want to destroy homes or whatever you try to make it sound like. That's exactly what you would hear from a narcissistic, abusive husband too. You're ruining the home, you're ruining the family, you're splitting things up, whatever. I would love to see a man that doesn't file for divorce after his wife willingly, knowingly cheats on her husband multiple times, has a whole side family, beats on him both verbally and physically. Would love to see how many men are willing to stay with that. You would leave that girl in a heartbeat. Most of you would. But then when women do it, the more realistic situation happens, because normally it's men who are beating on their women, men who are talking down on their women. Then you're the bad guy as a woman for wanting to get out of that relationship, get out of that marriage. Now you're shaming them for doing that? You cannot compare women and men in that sense. Our reasons for leaving the relationship are completely different. Men oftentimes file for divorce when they want to cheat on you and start a family with somebody else. It's very rare that it's a situation where the man was being abused, etc. That's when they normally file for divorce on their own. When women do it 9 times out of 10, it's because something was missing from the relationship. Whether it be him not financially supporting her or messing up things with money. But the more likely one, him being unfaithful to her. Him abusing her. He don't want to talk about that on his channel though. And sorry, like I said, once again, the whole notion of, oh, men built whatever, completely irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Okay, at one point I was a piece of sperm swimming around on my daddy's balls. And guess what? That ain't got shit to do with the fact that online dating sucks because of men. Doesn't change that. Irrelevant. That would be the equivalent to me saying, oh, well, the school shooter, he was a really nice kid. He was on high honor roll. Does it change the fact that he took away the lives of 10 other students? Did he not just shoot his gun and end the lives of other people? Did he? Okay, he did, right? Does him being on high honor roll change that? No, it does not. Okay, same scenario. Sorry, but saying that men built everything around me has nothing to do with the fact that they're abusive, that their personalities are bad, that they're manipulators, that they're liars, that they're cheaters. What does that have to do with anything? Also, use your brain. Of course, we know not every man is like, there's always exceptions to the rule. There's good guys, there's whatever. My brother is a good guy. I hope my son will be one. You get the point of what I'm saying. Don't play games with me. And like I said, apples and oranges. You cannot give a comparison with something we didn't have the rights to. I gave the example with slavery. You cannot compare black and white people for that reason. We did not have access to the same finances, resources, land, education that white people had. You have generations as a white person of wealth, of education, of access to loans, land, everything that we did not have. You cannot compare yourself to a slave, a descendant of slaves. It does not work that way. Forget about slavery. Like I said, Jim Crow laws, redlining, discriminatory practices in the housing market and workplace all the way up into the 2000s. Do not play mind games with me. You cannot compare that. How many women were even allowed to get a job back in the day? Or even an education? We couldn't even vote until recently. We've been able to vote for what? Less than 100 years. That's not even a fair comparison, talking about how men built roads, buildings, whatever. I don't care if men were 100 times smarter than women to this day and are responsible for everything that was invented since the year 2000. It doesn't mean anything. It's completely irrelevant to what dating is like. It's completely irrelevant to why it's hard to find a serious relationship. I don't care about what they made. It has nothing to do with anything. It's an irrelevant argument. That's a scapegoat. That's a fallacious argument. You're literally using the fact that you're a man to justify treating women like crap. Like I said, by that standard, I can say, well, women give access to life. There is no you without a woman. Not just a matter of her carrying the pregnancy. Like I said, forget about who impregnates the woman, because that is a man. Sure, we need you in order to actually, grow that seed or whatever, to fertilize it. But it doesn't matter if you force a woman to carry that baby. If we choose not to birth that child, or even if we die during labor, there's a high chance if the mom dies, the baby gonna die too. That's it. We control life, not you. There is no man without a woman. You need us to exist. You need us to breastfeed you, to hold, nurture, take care of you, and bring you into this world and raise you. You do not exist without us. So don't try to play that little stupid game. Excuse me, digestion. Just got through eating dinner. It's a stupid, irrelevant argument. But yeah, I'm so tired of seeing that little statistic thing trying to compare a black woman too. Because the other problem is too that y'all don't want to hear this part. But let's keep it real here. We are the only race of women who our men prefer to marry another woman of a different race over us. Black men prefer non-black women when given the opportunity. A prime example of that is look at celebrities. As soon as black men get money, who do they go after? And I don't care. I'm dating interracially too for very similar reasons. I ain't playing no games entertaining them. My reasons are very different. Unlike from black man's perspective, because black women are the most educated women, I cannot say the same thing for my own race. Black men tend to be the least educated of all men. They also tend to make the least amount of money too. Just simply doesn't fit my criteria for what I'm looking for dating wise. If I meet a nice looking black man that's tall, handsome, checks off all of my boxes, then sure, I would love to date him, would love to consider marrying him too. If I were back in the US, which I'm not, so I don't even have an opportunity to meet black guys like that, but just putting that out there. We can't force somebody to date us that doesn't even want us. So that's irrelevant. Not a fair comparison once again. So, and then the idea that, it's just black women, we don't have to do whatever. I'm sorry, but white, Asian, every other race of women, they also are on board with the whole so-called feminism, whatever. Who do you think invented this whole feminism movement? White women, okay? The difference is what you're talking about is when black, Asian, any other race of men, all minorities, including white men too, when they get money, who do they go after? It ain't us. They look for Asian girls and they look for white women. That is what they want to spend their money on. And the women that they attract are what? Gold diggers, 9 times out of 10. They are there for the money. You take the money away from that man, they don't want anything to do with them at all. They would divorce him in a heartbeat. Some of them, even while he has the money, they'd rather have half of it than, as Kevin says, have it all and stay with them. Okay. She's there to use you. They know how to play their cards. They will say whatever you want to hear. Suck your dick, ride it, clean your house, cook, whatever you ask her to do. Because she wants to show you that she wants that money. She's going to show that she's wifey material. And I'll give them props on that. They know how to play that game a lot better than black women do. That's true. But that's the point. It's not because this is how they are by nature, they're raised right, whatever. No. They're playing you for your money. Because once again, what happens when these dudes are on their way into getting into basketball, getting into football, whatever? Who do you see all over them? Snow bunnies, Asian girls. It's like, look at the guy off Facebook, etc. They know to groom you. They know to be waiting on you, for when you do make it to the league. They want you to know, hey, I'm single, I like you, I'm interested, because they know that you have a thing for them. You got these $1 million Asian male doctors. We all saw that case with that girl, turned out she was an escort or something. Same situation. That woman wouldn't have paid that man no mind, but because he was a millionaire and a doctor, that's a fetish for a lot of girls, shoot, myself included. Guess who was first in line for him? Her. He knew she only liked him for his money. That's probably how they met, as somebody else said. We ain't finna get into all of that crap, but you get what I'm trying to say. So that's it. I can go on forever and ever about all of this, but I'm just tired of seeing that. It's like it's an unfair comparison. Women didn't have the access to education, the ability to work, or even the will or want to. Times were different back then. It was unheard of for a woman to be going to college, to have a degree, to get a career in engineering, to be trying to make an invention or something that didn't have to do with makeup or hair. Shoot, even then, a man invented the bra. So it's like, that doesn't mean anything. That's irrelevant. I don't care if men made literally everything in existence, which I'm sure they invented most things, but that's the reason why. Men have different interests than women do. They are the ones that normally do hard labor work, etc. Times were different back then. Just as times are different back then, they're different now. Your channel, his channel, takes no account for so-called modern men, but he loves talking about modern women. Modern men don't even want to be men. Modern men don't want to have to pay for anything. Or at best, they want to do 50-50. They want you to pay for them. They don't want to have to shoot their shot. They don't want to have to deal with rejection. They want to be women, but he doesn't talk about that part of it. Interesting. He rarely gets on men. Don't get me wrong, when he does get on men, he's gotten in on them sometimes. But what does his content target after? 9 times out of 10, women. And why? Because he knows it gets people like me to make videos, to get upset, to talk about it, etc. And I ain't got no skin in the game, like how I said. I'm not even in the danger zone yet. I'll be there in a couple of years. I'm on my way. But I'm thinking to myself, like, None of your stuff even adds up. It doesn't make any sense. It's full of contradictions. And that's got to be one of the dumbest ones, talking about, oh, name me X amount of female inventors. Doesn't have anything to do with anything. I don't care if there were 0 female inventors. That does not change the fact that men are the reason why women are not getting married. Like how he said, men control access to that. If a man doesn't want to get married, you cannot make him. Doesn't matter how good of a woman you are, how cute you are, whatever. If a man decides, I do not want to marry you, you cannot force him to. Likewise, if a woman decides, I'm not finna carry your baby, you cannot make her. It's simple as that. So, these arguments are so stupid. And again, black women are the least liked women of all races. So, of course, we're going to be the highest percentage of single women. That's unfair. Most of our men are locked up and incarcerated too. Or if not most, a very high percentage in comparison to other races. There's already more women than there are men, and a large percentage of our men are behind bars and felons. Don't even have a regular average salary, busy selling drugs, trying to be rappers, etc., making no money. Come with baggage. Y'all talk about women having baby mamas. Y'all forget, in order for us to have those kids, who do you think is fathering them? Okay, black men 9 times out of 10. We have very slim pickings. And as he's talked about on his channel before, we are also the least likely to date outside of our race, which is why I find it really funny that when we do date outside of our race, 2 things, I'll play devil's advocate here. In my own personal opinion, we are the most embarrassing. I've made videos talking about the Asian women, black men community, how that and the black women, white man community, oh my God, that stuff just makes me cringe. I'm not going to get into that in this video. But that and the fact that, we don't know how can I say, we're always extreme with everything. When we do date outside of our race, it becomes a bash fest of us either just, look at my mixed baby, look at this, look at whatever, and not like even a matter of showing off their kid, but where it's like they're referring to their kid as a fact that they're mixed race and half, and it's just really creepy and strange. It just says self-hate all over it. They have to rebrand their channel, have to change their name, this, that, and the other, and it's like, you're doing too much. I'm sorry, but the moment that your username becomes, Blasian baby, whatever type, it's like, please stop. So we're not going to talk about that in this channel, but I'm thinking to myself, like I said, it's like, we're the least popular women. Most of our men aren't even eligible to get married, and the ones that are, it would require us to settle, yes, I said settle, for less than what's even average. Also, he doesn't take into account is, even for the men that make an average salary, for the black men that do make an average livable wage, how old are these men that are making that much money? What type of women do these average men even like? It's normally not us. So even out of those average men, when they do make a regular $40,000, $50,000 salary, who they looking for? Snow bunny. They don't want no nigga. They don't want no black woman. So I'm thinking like, okay, that's an unfair comparison. It has something to do with our behavior, our personality, what we're like. We're no different than white women, Asian women, anyone else in that sense. Because if you're dealing with American women, you can forget about all of that crap, about the stereotypes about Asian women, etc. It doesn't apply to them. They're raised just as American as the rest of us, unless they are first generation. And even then, a lot of them are very much indeed influenced by the people that they went to school with. Thus, they're going to behave and act like so-called modern feminist women, like how he tries to say. And again, his big thing isn't so much about you being a feminist and pro-women's rights. He just wants you, no matter how smart you are, no matter how educated you are, he wants you to continue to make less money than him, to not have a job, to not talk back and treat him like you're his father. And that's what he wants all men to be okay with. He wants you to be a slave to your husband. That's what they mean by submissive. They want you to not have an opinion, to not have a backbone, to not stand up for yourself, to do nothing but cook, clean, and fuck your man. That is what he wants. He wants things the old-fashioned way. You're supposed to let him cheat in peace as long as he doesn't bring home an STD or a baby that you know of. You're supposed to be okay with that. That's how it went back in the day. That was not good. That was not normal. Your parents and grandparents put up with it because they thought they had to. And now we actually talk about these things and know about these things. And we're addressing these things moving forward. And that is the reason why women are waiting longer to get married. That's what's really going on. And also the other flip side is men are not wanting to get married, not because women aren't doing their roles, but because if you look at what men have to say, they constantly say, oh, marriage is a waste of money, you have to give her half of everything, blah, blah, blah. Men are being cheap. So you're not taking into account modern men. Modern men are acting like bitches. They worried about losing money. He don't talk about that part though. He talks as though men are just openly willing to throw away their money on women for sex, which there's some truth to that part. But it's like when it comes to marriage, most men don't want to get their assets tied up in a relationship. They're worried about you divorcing them, which is like, you would be worried about a divorce as long as you're not being a bad guy and as long as you're marrying somebody that actually loves you. But they don't. That's the issue. He don't talk about modern men though. It's always just about so-called modern women. He rarely speaks to men. And then the couple of times he does, he uses those as his examples. Look, I said this about men. Yeah, how many videos have you made on men in comparison to women? Pretty much none. And that's the real audience that he needs to be addressing and talking to. Because like how we said, marriage can't take place without a man. So then why are you barking at us then? So like I said, don't get me wrong. Women can definitely improve things on their end. We do need to do more as far as taking care of yourself, being feminine, whatever. But at the same time, what's the purpose in doing all of that for a man that can't be masculine? And that's another fallacious argument that he makes too. He tells you that you should be acting like a submissive woman and being feminine at all times, not just for your husband. Which that would be weird and makes no sense, because by that standard, then I could say that, alright, as a man, you should be masculine, willing to die and fight for any woman that you see at any given time. You should be willing to pay for anything that any woman wants at any given time. That wouldn't make sense though, would it? You'd be broke. You'd probably be dead and be, have bullet holes all over you or something from all the fights you done got into. You don't do that, do you? No, men do not. Okay, likewise, as a woman, I am not going to play maid to just any guy that I see on the street. Sorry, the good old days are gone. Men no longer can get off on dominating, controlling, and abusing women unless they want to be in that type of relationship. That's facts. So, I'm done. Anyway, my point in a nutshell, those statistics don't make any sense because they do not take into account that black women are the least likely to date outside of their race. They're the least desired when it comes to sexual attractiveness. Most people do not find black women to be sexually attractive. That's facts for various reasons. Those are two big factors. Third, sorry to break it to you, but it doesn't matter how much money you claim the average black man is allegedly making. A lot of our men are locked up. And when they aren't locked up and are making average salaries, they do not want us. They go after Becky. They go after an Asian girl. They go after a white girl. They go after a Hispanic girl when they do have average salaries. Because a black man with a salary is treated like he's rich in the black community. Because I'm going to keep it real with you. I can't name a single black male in my family or friend group that has a normal day job. I don't know not one black man. I know they exist, but I can't name you one person. I kid you not, outside of Japan. I don't know anybody. And shoot, even in Japan, I can't name one black male teacher. Have I met them? Yep. But it's rare to see. They normally want to do anything but get a regular stable job. But according to your statistic, okay, fine, I'll agree with you, they exist. But again, what type of woman do they want? Doesn't matter if he's making $40,000 or $50,000 a year. If he don't want a black woman, does no good. Doesn't matter how submissive, cute, quiet, nice, short, whatever you are, perfect body you have. If an Asian or white or Hispanic man doesn't want to date you, you can be as beautiful as you want to be. You can look as good as you try to look, considering what God has given you and worked on what you got. If a man don't want you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how submissive, cute, quiet, whatever you are. If a guy doesn't find you attractive, it's all useless. Okay. And again, the stupid inventions argument. Women were not even allowed to get an education. We were not allowed to work like how men can do. It was frowned down upon, and so was getting a divorce. We were blamed for that type of stuff. As for filing for divorce, it's because we are oftentimes abused in our relationships. Infidelity. Lack of resources is another one too. Being physically abused, beaten and battered by our husband. Verbally abused, talked down on, treated like crap. You dismiss all of that stuff though. Not a fair argument. So, whatever. I still got time. I know my time is running out. I won't be young forever, but I'm going to keep it real with you. Yeah, a lot of the advice in that channel is a load of crap. Not to mention, I find it really funny that his cultic followers don't even realize his advice is not for them. You guys are not so-called high-value men, and sorry to break it to you, but most of the high-value men are on the lower end to begin with, making less than $400,000 a year, which, again, depending on what city you live in, it can be a good salary, but it's not rich. It's not something really hard to obtain, especially nowadays with YouTube and Instagram, etc. Not really hard to make that much money. Sorry. It's more money than I make, don't get me wrong. But like I said, nothing really special or fancy. I'm not going to let some man cheat on me just because he's making $100,000 a year. Oh, fine, I got us making $300,000 a year. Divorce you and move on. But that's not what Kevin wants. He wants a girl that's stupid and desperate to have the image of everything being perfect. And like, well, my man might be cheating on me, but at least I get to, cry in his Maybach and I get this nice Birkin bag as he tries to, make it seem like that's the life to have. And at least I have my 3 babies all by the same father, even though he treats me like crap. He abuses me. He's too tired for sex. I have to get off with a vibrator. That's not a wife. That's not a marriage. That's a slave. So, whatever. I'm officially done. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Go ahead, argue, complain in the comments. Give me your 2 cents, your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Comic95. You can add me on Snapchat at Comic the Savior. And follow me on TikTok at Comic the Savior as well. I also have a Facebook fan page at Comic95 the Savior. And you can read my blog at Comic95.com. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you for watching. Bye.